There's something a little bit striking in the first reading today. Not striking as in unheard of or anything, but for us in our society, um, it's a little bit confrontative. And the same thing happened Tuesday. If I go back to Tuesday's first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, it's Peter's homily on Pentecost, sermon, whatever, his preaching. And he says to the Jewish people, "Let the whole house of Israel know for certain that God has made him both Lord and Christ, this Jesus whom you crucified." Peter does not shy away from stating the fact. You had this man crucified, right? And let the whole nation, the whole house of Israel know this, right? And today he says, this is after he has healed the man in front of the temple. He says, "You denied the holy and righteous one and asked that a murderer be released to you. The author of life you put to death." So again, Peter does not shy away from stating the facts. You did something here that was terribly wrong, right? But then he says, "Now I know, brothers and sisters, that you acted out of ignorance, just as your leaders did." Right? And reminds us of Jesus' words on the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." See, we don't like this boldly stating that when people are wrong, that we say they're wrong, or to say this is a sinful act. This is an evil act. We get all bonkers. Oh, you can't judge people. You can't. That's not what Peter's doing. Peter knows quite well his weaknesses and his foibles and his sins. He knows very well that he denied our Lord 3 times. He has already wept bitterly over his sins. But that does not mean that we say, "Oh, that's okay, that's okay." And as we're coming up on Divine Mercy Sunday, right, where we celebrate this feast that God's mercy was poured out on Good Friday and continues to be poured out, right? But if we don't acknowledge our sin, how are we ever going to be able to receive God's mercy, right? So I just encourage you. We always, we think of going to confession before Easter generally, and I know that's been interrupted with all this coronavirus stuff. But I encourage you, not just now or today, but always, make it just a habit in your life, a point of your life. Always acknowledge the wrong you do to others, if people have seen it, or certainly to the victims of your evil. Acknowledge it and apologize. Always acknowledge it to God. We don't generally speaking, Catholics do not use this sacrament nearly enough. But if you want to really open the floodgates of God's mercy, say to him, "Lord, I've sinned. This is what I've done wrong. Please forgive me." Mercy is waiting to be poured out on you, right? And so now, you don't point out everybody else's sin. That's not necessarily your job. Although to point out someone what they're doing wrong to save them from the consequences of that sin, that's a spiritual act of mercy. But for ourselves, get in the habit of acknowledging your sinfulness, acknowledging what you've done wrong. And so opening to God your heart for the mercy he wants to bring in it. God bless you.